hope you're well. So the background might look a bit different, the audio is probably going to be a little bit echoey because this weekend I am at my mum's house in Newcastle, seeing her and my brother and having a bit of family time, so a little bit of a different background for you guys today. Yeah, I apologise if the sound quality is not very good. She has like wooden floors everywhere, so it can be pretty echoey. Moving on, so today I want to talk to you all about my productivity tips and specifically how I make sure I get work done that I'm avoiding. So this is great if you have a project you really need to do that you're finding difficult or boring and you just kind of keep putting it off. So I'm going to go through my kind of top pieces of advice that I use that really help me. So the first thing to mention is a technique that revolutionised how I work completely, and this technique is called Pomodoro, or the time boxing technique. So if you haven't heard of this before, it's worthwhile googling the Pomodoro technique just to kind of read up on a little bit. But basically the idea is that you set a timer to work a specific amount of time, and then you have a little break after you've completed that time. So as an example, I found that I work most effectively in 25-minute intervals. So I will set my timer on my phone. If you don't want to have your phone near you, you can just use a normal kind of kitchen timer, whatever you have to hand. So I set that for 25 minutes and then I just work until it goes off. So once 20 minutes is over, or 25 minutes for me, I give myself a 5-minute break. So this can work for any amount of time, but the longer you work for, the longer your break is. And this is basically like a reward system. So say you were working for 15 minutes, you might give yourself a 2 or 3 minute break. And if you were working for an hour, you might give yourself a 10 or 15 minute break. It is completely personal to you, and you kind of need to give it a little bit of a go, try different times to see what suits you. So I find that this basically works for me so well. It's because if I'm doing a really boring job that I really don't want to do for whatever reason, I know all I have to do is just work for 25 minutes, just 25 minutes, which is nothing, and then I reward myself. So this may be with something kind of silly like stretching or going out for a very quick 5-minute walk, or making myself a cup of tea or coffee, or watching a short 5-minute YouTube video, having a piece of chocolate, whatever it is that takes 5 minutes, I do it. And then once that treat is over, I'm back to work for another 25 minutes. And I know every 25 minutes I get a treat, which is pretty nice. Kind of sounds a little bit immature, but it works. So I really recommend that you guys try that out if you're interested. So time boxing is obviously the first stage. The second thing to do is to make sure that whatever work environment you're in, so whether that is your office, your home, the library, the studio, wherever it is that you're working, is a calm and peaceful and inviting environment. If you're working in a space that is chaotic or messy or uncomfortable, you're going to find all sorts of reasons to keep pushing off this work and making sure the environment is more inviting. So start off with a tidy space, the most tidy space you can manage. I'm extremely tidy, so I make sure that when I've finished my work for the day that I clear my desk. This is for 2 reasons. My computer is also my television, so when Simon gets home from work, I like to make sure my work isn't kind of surrounding my computer, because we'll sit down and watch a few episodes of something online and have our dinner. And secondly, I'm just kind of naturally tidy. My brother just brought me coffee. Sometimes it's good kind of working from home. This might help improve my video slightly. So yes, make sure that you have a tidy space, basically. Like I said, I'm a naturally tidy person, so my desk just is tidy. I prefer it to be that way, which is kind of very handy for me. If you're not a naturally tidy person, you might have to put a little bit of extra effort into making sure it is tidy. So your workspace is nice and tidy. The next stage is to make sure you have everything you need to complete the task at hand. If this is creative work, I imagine you will need some art supplies, so pencils, kind of sketchbooks, etc., maybe paints. If this is more kind of academic work, you also need to make sure that your computer is set up with all the files you need, etc. Your kind of keyboard has batteries in it, all the stuff you can think of basically. Also make sure that you have a glass of water to hand. If you enjoy drinking tea or coffee, make sure you have a mug of that nearby as well. That kind of really helps, and it's a bit of a distraction, having a nice drink sometimes. And if you get hungry, you could even have some kind of snacks nearby. So probably something healthy that also kind of helps with the whole brain power thing. So nuts and dried fruit, things like that, maybe a bit of dark chocolate to give you a bit of a boost. So just make sure you're comfortable. And those two things, having a tidy work area and making sure you're well hydrated and not hungry, will dramatically improve your productivity. It's quite obvious, but it actually makes the whole working thing much more pleasurable. The third thing to mention with your work area is to make sure that you're comfortable. So ensure that your seating arrangement, your feet and your back and your bum are all comfy and warm as well. So if you get cold easily, make sure you're wrapped up. Obviously the opposite if you are hot. And make sure that you have a comfortable place to sit, and that your computer, keyboard and mouse, or your notepad or whatever you're using to do this work is kind of the right height and angle for you as well. And remember, in 25 minutes or however long you want to be working for, you'll have an opportunity to stretch and have a break from your work area. Okay, so the third thing I want to mention is music, or the kind of maybe lack of music for some people. I personally find that I cannot concentrate if I have music with words playing. So I can only really focus on my work if I have instrumental music going on. Mainly because I work as a freelance writer. So if I have music playing with someone singing, I tend to sing along to whatever's playing and I get really distracted, and I end up sometimes even typing the lyrics to the song, which is very ridiculous. Excuse me, I want to have a sip of coffee. It's just torturous having it in front of me here. So what I do instead is I have like some go-to instrumental kind of classical musicians that I listen to. The Free Music Archive is a website that specialises in a lot of instrumental music. Actually, lots of YouTubers use the Free Music Archive, or the FMA, for their YouTube videos because it's loyalty-free music, so you can stream and listen to it completely for free. So my favourite artist on there is Poddington Bear, not Paddington Bear, and he has so many albums of kind of slightly atmospheric instrumental music. Some is really poppy, some is kind of more jazzy. There's like a whole bunch of stuff, but it's just very easy to listen to and not distracting. My other favourite artist is a band called Balmoria, or Balmorhia. I'm going to write the name here on the screen because I don't really know how to pronounce it. But those guys are great as well, quite calming and just, again, not distracting, just very easy to listen to. If you find that you get extremely distracted from listening to music, just don't have it on. You could even play kind of background noises. So I know that some people find white noise really relaxing, or kind of space sounds, so kind of like static and things like that can allow you to get like in the work zone. But equally, if you love listening to music with lyrics of people singing, then listen to that. I just find it really distracting. Coffee. So, my next tip is to do the most boring task first. I need to follow this advice myself because I actually tend to not do this as much as I should do. For about a month I was putting off this really big task, which included a lot of really boring form filling, which I hate. I hate filling in forms like online or paper. They terrify me. I don't want to do it. And I finally got around to doing it, and I wish I had just done it because it was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be, and it was kind of embarrassing how easy it was. My next tip kind of goes hand in hand with this one, which is to seek advice and help when you can. So with these forms, again, like I said, I was pushing it off for ages, and I just went to Simon, my fiance, and asked him if he could help me, because I know he doesn't find this sort of admin stressful at all, or if it does, he doesn't let on that it does. And he just kind of guided me through each question. And I was like, what does this mean? I don't know what this means. And he was like, just, it's easy, or just like leave it blank, this isn't applicable to you, so it's fine, like whatever. And his kind of outlook on it was kind of like stress-free, easy outlook, really helped me complete that task in about 15 minutes. And it was like 6 forms that I thought would take like an hour each. In my nightmare, I was like, this is gonna take so long. It took 15 minutes. We did it in, like, we kind of were chatting and having tea and listening to music, and we just kind of did it really quickly one evening. So yeah, do the most boring task first. If that's really terrifying for you, get someone to help you and walk through it. So my last productivity tip isn't necessarily applicable to everybody, but this is especially good if you work from home or in an environment where you sometimes feel a little bit trapped and you need to escape. It's also applicable to flexible working schemes, which I know a lot of people who don't live in the UK have. I'm talking to you, Scandinavia, I'm very jealous. So many companies provide workers with a chance to work from home or work in a different environment, which is great. But sometimes working from home can feel a little bit restricting. Sometimes I get cabin fever, I think because I get bored easily. Anyway, I'm always kind of searching for interesting, fun work to do. And working from home can sometimes just feel like I'm a bit trapped. So when this happens, I go for a walk, or go and grab a coffee, or I work in a different environment. So if it's kind of a little tingling kind of anxiousness, I'll just go out for a walk for 20 minutes and then I can come home and crack on with the rest of my day. But if I've been working at home non-stop for the past 2 weeks, let's say, and I haven't really seen anybody except maybe a friend or Simon, and I've realised I've only seen maybe 2 or 3 people in 2 weeks, then I leave the flat all day and I take myself to a cafe, I grab a coffee and my laptop and I work from there. And even that kind of small dose of interaction with the general public really helps. I find that if you're working in an environment where you're becoming increasingly lonely and separated from people, you tend to just not really feel that great, obviously, and you don't really want to do the work. But if you're in a new, fresh environment, you feel inspired and invigorated. If you're not able to leave your office area for whatever reason, make your weekends a time to feel fulfilled and happy. So maybe you go to an art gallery or the theatre, or you have a walk, or you hang out with your nearest and dearest friends to just feel that fulfillment. So you know for the rest of the week you have that extra energy and oomph to complete your work tasks. I don't know if there's anything else I need to mention. If you do work at home and you're finding yourself increasingly kind of cut off, feeling cut off from the rest of the world, there are actually lots of offices where you can rent a space. So there's a company called WeWork. I actually wrote a blog post about them ages ago, it was like 2 years ago. And they have kind of affordable studio spaces, which seem like really beautifully decorated, and obviously they have Wi-Fi and things like that, and lots of them have restaurants and cafes, so you can work in that sort of environment for maybe 1 day a week. You could also rent a studio space for 1 or 2 days a week if you feel like you want to, or maybe you have a friend who is also a freelancer who works from home and you can go and work with them as well. That's something that I'm actually really considering doing. One of my friends suggested that I come round and work in his studio for a little while. I think that would actually be really lovely, and we could have lunch together and chat, and then also just get on with our work. So that is something to consider. So it was quite a short and sweet little video, but I just wanted to cover my top tips about productivity. I did something similar to this on Instagram stories. It was about 3 months ago and it went down really well. I actually went live on Instagram, which I've only done a few times since then, but it was great, and I think like 150 people checked in, which just kind of blew my mind. And lots of those people who watched that video wanted me to film something that would be permanently up on my YouTube channel and blog that they could refer to. So it will be up there, and I hope you enjoyed it and found it useful. I am off to go food shopping with my brother now and edit a blog post. So I hope whatever you're doing tonight or today, have a fantastic one, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!